Well, we won. What's up, Broncos country? Here we are. Week one's in the books. 1-0 at the start. Was it pretty? No. But honestly, that's what week one is in the NFL now. Teams aren't polished. Many of the time, starters haven't played together. And you saw it across the NFL all weekend, right? Most of the teams out there, there were miscues. There was mistiming. Quarterback and receivers not being on the same page. There was the line not blocking as well as you've known him to block. It's all part of week one of the NFL. The main objective is to get out of the game with a win, and that's it. Capture what you need to capture in terms of improvement. Move on to week two. That's what week one is all about. The Broncos sealed the game with a win, and that we can be excited about. First off, I just want to say hats off to the Titans. With the Broncos game having the highest spread for week one, there's this expectation that the Broncos were going to come out and just dominate the Titans. Forgetting the fact that they've had a solid defense. They have an incredible defensive line. They made investment in the offensive line in the offseason. So you could see it in the trenches. It really showed out there. And it just shows you how important the trenches are when it comes to playing football and how good your team is or isn't. And hats off to the Titans. They played a great game. Despite what the stats say, and let's be real, my goodness, that defense, that Denver defense, dominated. Cam Ward, for his rookie season debut, battled. He never seemed to get rattled by the entire situation either. Though they may have had the worst record last year, I don't anticipate them having the worst record this year. I expect improvement from the Titans. There'll be some things for the team and for fans to get excited about heading into next season. All right, let's talk about it. I think we've got to lead off with that Denver Broncos defense. My goodness. Talk about being as advertised. 6 sacks. Total offense that they gave up 131 yards, 133 yards. At one point, the Titans were going backwards. I think my favorite moment of the game was right after that muffed punt by Marvin Mims, which had everybody on edge. The Titans offense didn't move forwards. They moved backwards and out of field goal range after a muffed punt. That's an incredible statement to the type of defense that the Denver Broncos had. All in all, you've got 7 first downs that they gave up. The Titans were 2 of 14 on third down, 6 sacks. Talanoa Hufanga, it was evident being there in the stadium. He was everywhere. Not only did he have 10 tackles, he also had a forced fumble, a pass breakup. Talanoa Hufanga is as advertised. And like I said before, I am excited about having that type of safety in our backfield. Justin Strnad, standing in for Dre Greenlaw, I felt confident about him going into the game. I'm glad that confidence was rewarded because he played an excellent game as well. Riley Moss, I think we've got to give that guy credit. He's going to get picked on. He's going to get targeted because Patrick Surtain is on the other side. And he shuts down receivers. He did it again on Sunday. But Riley Moss, my goodness, forcing the receiver out of bounds on several occasions so that even if it was a catch, it was an incomplete. Riley Moss had a great game. He's improved from last year this year, and you could actually see his focus on putting on some muscle and being able to put more muscle into battling receivers off the line. It truly showed. It showed in how he jammed in coverage. It showed in how he forced receivers out of bounds. Riley Moss, his offseason work has certainly paid off. Then I mentioned Patrick Surtain. And Patrick Surtain, once again, shutdown corner we know and love. For the 8th time in his career, no receiver had a catch on him. And he had a pass breakup. Incredible. Just an incredible guy to watch. And that's one of the advantages of being in the stadium because you're not always going to see it on the TV tape. Is just if you focus just on him and watching him play, you can see that from the stadium, from the seats, and just watching him battle his receiver all game and the type of and just the blanket coverage that he shows. And then my goodness, Nik Bonitto and Zach Allen and Jonathan Cooper, the dudes up front, the hogs up front came to play. Cam Ward was pressured all game long. Nik Bonitto was a terror. He was basically unblockable. They were trying to block him with 2. They were trying to block him with 1. None of it mattered. He had career high 9 pressures. I'm excited you got paid. I'm excited that you are here to stay for the long haul. Excellent game from that guy. And then the rookie got some snaps in as well. It was really good to see Jahdae Barrett out there. He played well for the limited amount of snaps that he had. He ended up having that fumble recovery at the end, so you can notch it in the stat sheet as well. But all in all, great play from the rookie as well. I think it's only going to grow from there. So that was excellent to see. Let's talk about the offense. The offense definitely showed some week 1 rust. And very similar to how it happens in training camp, the defense, especially in week 1, across the NFL, the defense is going to be ahead of the offense. You're going to see offensive struggle. This is the first time they're running full speed all game. There's going to be timing issues. There's going to be setup issues. There's going to be players not being on the same page, or the line not being on the same page, and there being a little bit more pressure. That being said, I do have and will be keeping my eye on the center of our offensive line. Wattenberg and Ben Powers. That left guard spot and that center spot, that A-gap, all game long, it was making me nervous. And when a quarterback gets that pressure right up the center, right in their face, it is very hard for them to stay on their spot. You start to see happy feet, and you saw a bit of that with Bo Nix with getting that early pressure up front. That being said, finally, ladies and gentlemen, run game. Though I would have liked to see it earlier, we got that run game going in the second half. And frankly, I expect going forward that commitment to the run game stays in the first half. Don't let the stat sheet fool you. It looks like the game was more balanced than it actually was. And we need to see that run game committed to a lot more. 40 passes for the quarterback. And I looked at the stat sheets across the board here. It was definitely up there in the upper tier. I believe that those 40 passes by Bo Nix, he was the only winning quarterback out of the bunch who had 40 or above passes. That should tell you something. That run game is so important. We need to see the numbers flip. Let's have 40 runs and let's have 30 to 35 passes for the quarterback. That's a balanced attack. That's complementary team football. Because at the end of the day, especially when it comes to playoff times, the running game is what's going to get you to that championship. The other thing about the offense were the turnovers. 3 came out of the offense and 1 was on special teams from Marvin Mims. Bo Nix, it definitely seemed like he was a bit amped up for this game. I think, it's a long off season. This is the first time you've had an actual full off season. The expectations have been set for the team. He had a great 2024 season and rookie debut. He definitely cares about playing for his team, playing for the city, and just playing well overall. I love to see a quarterback fired up. I love to see a quarterback holding his team accountable. But it definitely seemed like there was this tenseness. Just being there in the stadium and watching him, and I have my binoculars on and looking for Bo. I look at players. I look at a bunch of different things when I'm in the stadium there. He definitely seemed to be playing a bit tense. And so I think now that you got the first game out of the way, you got the first win out of the way, hoping now that pressure can kind of come off of him a bit and you can get back to playing football a little bit looser. I don't expect the 2 interceptions that he threw. One was definitely, I don't know what he saw there. The one to Cortland Sutton, he was a little bit late. All in all, it wasn't a terrible performance. Again, this is one of the things that Sean Payton always says. When you go back and look at the tape, it's not as bad as you think. It's also not as good as you think. Going back and rewatching the game, it wasn't as bad as I thought for the offense. Yes, it was rough. Yes, there was some rust there. But I don't expect Bo Nix to throw the types of interceptions that he just threw. I think this is all about trying to get the offense on the same page and in some level trying to force it just a little bit. Overall with the game, just a couple other observations. One, it became evident, especially by the second half, that the Titans were outmatched. And there were some things that Sean Payton, in terms of play calling, especially the 4th down play that you're going to hear all of the media about, all of the different podcasts talking about. I'm not going to dwell on it too long, but I think it definitely seemed like the team was confident the Titans weren't going to be able to do anything, and so they were taking a lot of chances. I hope that settles down. I hope they remove that from the game. We've got to take our opponents seriously going forward here, and I don't expect that to continue. Couple other observations. Jeremy Crawshaw, so excited for our punter. As we said before, it's been great in training camp. In preseason, it seemed a little bit rough. I wasn't overall worried about it. You could tell the coaching staff wasn't overall worried about it, and he had a great game despite the special team struggles in other areas. A 71-yard punt return. Good Lord, we need to clean that up. The muff punt from Marvin Mims, which frankly, he's an all-pro punter. He's been that way for the last 2 years. I don't expect those types of errors. It happens. It's week one once again. I'm not overly concerned. But Jeremy Crawshaw, hats off to him. Great punting day for him. I believe he had 3 inside the 10. That's what you want to see from our punter. Beautiful long hang time. Great day from Jeremy Crawshaw. It's interesting just thinking about the overall for this game and heading into game 2 against the Colts. 2024, knowing that you had a rookie quarterback under center and a team with a lot of young talent on the offensive and defensive side, you knew the name of the game was patience and to just enjoy the ride. You want the team to do well, but most people weren't expecting playoffs, and we got that, which is great. Heading into 2025 season, playoffs are absolutely expected from this team, but I still think the mantra of enjoy the ride is something we need to keep in mind, especially with the early part of the season. You've got a quarterback heading into his second season. You have an offense that is now implementing a new run game scheme along with having basically a brand new running back room. So them getting on the same page, along with the fact that the early part of the season for the NFL now is really kind of the extended preseason for a lot of the vets because they haven't played. That's where I say enjoy the ride and watching the team develop these next few weeks. I think we're going to see much improvement from week 1 to week 2, and I also expect improvement from week 2 to week 3. So just enjoy the ride, y'all. We got the win, which was the most important part coming out of week 1. Next is the defense continuing to do what they do. Frankly, no notes. But the offense, let's see that running game sooner. Let's see the quarterback and the receivers be on the same page a little bit more. Let's stay healthy, right? We do have one notable injury in Evan Ingram. Calf injuries can linger. I don't expect him to play this next coming game against the Colts. It may be a couple weeks until we see him. Frankly, that's okay, and we need to make sure that we have him for the long haul. Coming up next, with facing the Colts, Daniel Jones looked pretty good, y'all. He looked pretty good. And we all know what happened at Mile High last year. Yes, it's a different quarterback. You still got Taylor back there in the backfield. Without that egregious error and that flip of momentum, that game could have been a completely different story. So this time around, we can't rely on the Colts making mistakes for us to win a football game. Let's go in and take it. I think we're going to have a good game, a good battle on our hands going to Indianapolis and playing the Colts. Jonathan Taylor, I expect him to want a little bit of revenge after last year. That being said, fully confident Broncos can get the win on this one. If our defense continues to do what it's shown in week 1 and through the preseason, I have no worries there, and I think Daniel Jones is going to have a long day. Well, that's it for this week. That's it for the game. It was awesome being in the stadium. The atmosphere was incredible. There was some worry there right in the middle of the game, but for the most part, beginning to end, the Denver atmosphere, the stadium atmosphere, it was good to be there. Until then, y'all, share your comments, share your feedback. Keep it kind. I'm excited about this Broncos team. And hey, 1-0. Let's make it 2-0 next week. All right, y'all. Talk to you soon.